digging graves to make a point. This is the InsideEdition.com coronavirus news for June 12, 2020. Protesters in Brazil dug 100 graves on one of the country's most famous beaches, the Copacabana. They dug the graves in front of the Copacabana Palace Hotel in the wee, small hours of the morning. Each grave got a cross. Some were draped with Brazil's flag. And when the sun rose, tourists and beachgoers got a grim eyeful. Protesters also donned white PPE suits to underscore the threat of COVID-19. The scene resembles the actual new cemeteries that have been built to accommodate victims of the disease. The action was a critique of the government's slow response to the coronavirus. Many are critical of the country's far-right president. He's calling the coronavirus a little flu, and he's threatened to use the military to tighten his grip on power in response to criticisms over his pandemic response. Elsewhere in Brazil, the country's indigenous communities say they are being neglected. They claim they're not receiving health care promised to them by the government, and that coronavirus cases in the community are being undercounted. Brazil boasts the world's second largest coronavirus outbreak, even as businesses in the South American country are being allowed to reopen. Now, Inside Edition's Les Trent reports on how to stay safe during a visit to the doctor.
I'm here for my visit.
Norma Jean Oban is diabetic, and regular blood work is essential. We were with her as she returned to her doctor's office for the first time since the pandemic hit.
Pressure is great. In her case, with her medical issues, she needs a personal visit because we need to check some blood work.
There is a checklist you need to be aware of before you visit your doctor to avoid catching COVID-19. First, only go in person if you have a serious medical issue that can't wait. Otherwise, make a virtual appointment. Ask ahead about your doctor's check-in process. Make sure your doctor has enough PPE. Ask about their process for sterilizing the office. And make sure your doctor has a safe waiting space. Norma Jean also asked some important questions before her appointment.
I did ask, how many people are ahead of me, how many people will be in there with me.
Oh, I see you have a shield up here now.
Dentists are taking similar precautions, as I found out when I visited my own dentist.
It's usually one person at a time, so no one really has to sit in the waiting room. I'll greet them as I greeted you when you come in, and bring them right back.
Dr. Jeffrey Sclaren checked my temperature before letting me in. I needed a new crown.
I felt safe because of all the precautions taken.
And Inside Edition Digital's Mara Montalbano shares a story of a retired doctor who's still working to defeat the coronavirus.
A Belgian doctor may be retired, but he's still determined to help fight the coronavirus. Alphonse Leanpools is 103 years old. While he doesn't practice medicine anymore, he does a lot of walking. Now he's asked people to pledge money to him as he walks the length of a mile around his garden. In increments, of course, throughout the month of June. Now, if this story sounds familiar, it's because it was inspired by a story out of England where British veteran Tom Moore walked 100 laps around his garden ahead of his 100th birthday to raise funds for his country's National Health Service. Moore ended up raising $40 million. He earned a Guinness World Record for the most money raised by an individual through walking, and he's also going to be knighted by the Queen. Now, can Alphonse beat that amount? We'll just have to wait till the end of the month to see.
There are more than 7.5 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 and more than 420,000 deaths worldwide. There are more than 113,000 deaths in the United States. For more on the coronavirus pandemic, visit InsideEdition.com.